All right, what's really going on with y'all and all that and all that? It's good with the people out there in TGIF land, right? Everybody doing the TGIF, TGIF, right? Is it Friday? I think it is Friday. Yeah, it is. Friday it is. All right, so yo, it was brought to my attention, right? By who told me about this? I'm about to do an explanation on Bow Wow. Don't worry and all that. Like I brushed my teeth and all that, so don't even trip. You know what I'm saying? But I'm relaxing today. Like this is how I feel. This is how I'm feeling. So yo, it was brought to my attention by Sugarfoot that a fellow Piscean is going through something, which is Bow Wow. So, and I think, he might be lost or something to that effect, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a look at his chart and see what's going on. I'm not really familiar with the whole mainstream news and all of that, but I did a little homework and watched a few clips or whatever of Bow Wow to see what people are talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start off with who he is before I get into what's currently going on with him. So, of course, he's a Pisces sun, right? Not only that, his natal chart, he has Pisces in the 11th house. So, with that being said, 11th house deals with revenues, and it also deals with dreams and wishes and networks and groups. So, as you can see, he's in the entertainment industry. Pisces are great for being creative and, stars in the industry of entertainment and glamour, all right, is represented by the sign of Pisces. So it would behoove him. It's a pretty good spot when it comes to making money for Bow Wow, to be honest with you. But something that I also want to look into is that, he shares the 11th house with the sign of Aries. So that placement is not the simplest place to be, because here you are in the 11th house, which deals with networks and groups. However, the sign of Aries is a singular sign, and it's very now there's going to be lots of opportunities present with Aries being in the 11th house, which you can see especially early on in his career. Like he dealt with a lot of people that helped out in his career that put him where he needs to be. So that's going to be there. However, the sign also initiates a lot of things. So whether they give him the credit for it or not, the placement, I'm telling you what the placement says, is that Aries in the 11th house initiates a lot of things. So some great ideas might have actually came from Bow Wow that helped out the people in his networks and circles. And maybe he doesn't get credit for that. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, Aries in the 11th house causes conflict, and it can be due to those types of situations. So I just want to lay that out there rather quickly. Let me bounce around a bit. He has an Aquarius midhaven. So again, networks and groups, it behooves Bow Wow to be a part of networks and groups. We all know he came out with Death Row. He came out with, I guess you could say, under Snoop Dogg as like a promotional thing, I guess. And then he was managed and produced by Jermaine Dupri. So as you can see from early on, as soon as he got in the game, he was around people who put him in positions. They were in networks, they were groups. They grouped up and they got Bow Wow to where he needed to be. And his career, for the most part, has been that way ever since. If you one of his interviews, he actually reveals that he's had ghostwriters since way back when, you know what I mean? And enough of them, like the list, he has a list of ghostwriters. So again, a lot of networks and groups have benefited. Please believe they also benefited, right? But a lot of groups, networks of people have been associated with Bow Wow, or the Bow Wow machine, however you want to call it, which has helped catapult his career. Let me just rather briefly. I'm gonna just touch on this real quick. Like he had a gig with CSI lately, right? TGIF. Who was that? My bad. I was a little late seeing that. What's up, though? If you're in the room, what's up? Um, he did have a gig with CSI, right? To my understanding. So even with that, right? He has Scorpio in the sixth house. All right, so that just goes to show, like, Scorpio is an investigative placement. It's an investigative sign, excuse me. And he has it inside of his sixth house, which deals with work, health, with work environment. So that explains that as well. But again, these are certain places. And another thing I want to touch on, he's a Gemini ascendant. So for people who wonder why he talks, that's one thing, right? But also, he has Sagittarius in the seventh house. And Sagittarius in the seventh house talks excessively. They can overtalk. All right. So that's another thing of why people maybe say, oh, he's always talking, he's arrogant, this, that, and the third. He's a talker, flat out. And I guess he's like going through some emotional thing right now, whatever the case may be. So with that, right, he also has a second house in Cancer, and the moon, which rules Cancer, is inside of his second house. So he's an emotional person. He's at least going to respond to things emotionally, so you got to expect that from him as well. So all the things that I broke down so far is just pretty much describing who this guy is. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's done anything wrong just yet. And a lot of times when we think that people do something wrong, it's just really that they're being them, right? So let me go further on now to the solar chart of what's going on now. I seen one video that was published around September. It was published on September 15th, right? And he was talking about how, JD didn't know what he was talking about on the Breakfast Club and this, that, and the third, right? So for people who may think that he's slipping because he's like down talking JD, or he's saying how Snoop Dogg brought him in the game and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? The sun at that time was inside of the sign of Virgo, and for Pisces in the solar chart, that's the 11th house. Right? I mean, not the 11th house, excuse me. For Pisces, that's actually the sixth house, the seventh house. So what happens is the partnerships, the relationships, the business partnerships that come into the limelight is pretty much what I'm saying. But not only that, it's looked at from an analytical scope because the sign of Virgo is there. So you got to put the relationships that he's in a microscope. And seventh house not only deals with business partnerships and contractual agreements and stuff, it also deals with known adversaries. All right, also deals with known adversaries. So, it's only right, if you ask me, if someone brings you into the conversation, that you respond with whatever it is that you feel that you should respond to. You know what I'm saying? So I'm basically piggybacking off of that video that I seen after JD did the Breakfast Club interview. I did not watch the Breakfast Club interview. I just watched clips of it when he said that, he's in Bow Wow's life or whatever the case may be. And, Bow Wow doesn't have a drug problem and stuff like that. So whether or not Bow Wow is lying about the things that he's getting into mischievously or not, whatever the case may be, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I truly couldn't tell you that. But I can definitely, again, tell you that having Sagittarius in the seventh house as a natal sign would be the reason why he's talking excessively. Also, Aquarius in the 10th house, Bow Wow is going to continue to make money with groups and networks of people, and I explained his 11th house earlier. So I think the scope shouldn't just be on Bow Wow. I think it needs to be put on his groups and networks as well, because his placement just suggests that he will always and forever be tied to people, to groups of people, And again, on this video that I watched, right, he was talking about how when he does the So Def tour, he's going to be the top acting, because He's the #1 selling artist on So So Def. He has like a gold card when it comes to Madison Square Garden because he sold a garden out. And again, I don't know if these things are truths or not. But with Aquarius, and this is I don't want to Aquarius be lying sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But my point is this: with Aquarius in the 10th house, he might just have the facts because it's in his career. It would behoove him to have the facts. So if he is the highest grossing artist on So So Def and he has sold out the garden as many times as he said he has, he's got a point. He's just making a point, you know what I'm saying? However, this is the one thing that I think that is a detriment to him because of the way he is delivering his message about that. The reason why I say that, and that's some of that Aries, sharing that 11th house with Aries, that's what's coming about right now. And truth be told, if those statistics are true indeed, he doesn't even have to say those things. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to say those things. I'm pretty sure that everyone who knows the legacy of So So Def, this, that, and the third, they know that Bow Wow's the #1 artist on that label. Like, hands down. Like, I don't, the younger people who are watching, like, y'all may not know Bow Wow from back in the days when he was a little kid or whatever, but Bow Wow was that deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, he blew up, and he blew up fast. So, yeah, he blew that record label up, excuse me, please believe it. But to put himself out there like that, like, and I'm only doing, I'm doing certain stuff. I'm doing what I want to do, stuff like that. No one can come on my set. I'm not associating with the rest of the label mates and stuff like that. Again, this video was done when, the sun was in Virgo. So it's putting an analytical scope on his business partnerships and relationships. But that is the thing that can hinder him because he has a celestial positioning to always be in cahoots with networks and groups. That's how he's prosperous. That's how he makes his money. 11th house is revenues. Networks and groups, their revenues. You know what I'm saying? So for him to continue to be on that wavelength, it would be smart of him to just group back up with his peers, do what needs to be done, what should be done, give his fans what they want, and keep going on about his business. So that's my take on the whole Bow Wow thing. I wouldn't say that like he's going crazy or something like that. He's going through some emotional times. All people do, you know what I mean? And but for the most part, what I see on this, he's really being him. Like, that's who he is. If you look at his natal chart, if you know astrology and stuff, you can look at the same things that I just expressed, and you can study it, and you'll figure it out, and probably some more things that I didn't even touch on. All right, y'all, from the Bunz, I'm out of here.